best light. Guys, how you doing? Chris Rod, Sun City Lawn Care. Today we're back in the lawn area. we got a noisy one. We're back in the lawn area and we are simply doing a lawn leveling job today. This is actually some sod that we installed last year, and as you can see, it's already starting to green up. Again, this is West Texas, and this is the time of the year where it starts to green up, come out of dormancy. It's pretty level for the most part, but it does, like any other sod installation, have its ups and downs, its little rut marks. And so we're going to be backfilling today with some screened compost. Okay, now you can do one of two options, and again, the time of the year to do this kind of leveling project, as soon as you start to see a green haze throughout the backyard, and as you guys can see, we have a green haze. So the screened compost we get from our local rock quarry, and this is nice, soft, loose compost, wood free, debris free. I actually talked to the owner this morning and asking her where she gets it, and they get it from various farms throughout our West Texas location, and they go through a heating process, an amending process, and then when they get it to the rock quarry from the farms, they go through an additional process of heating it up and screening it from any weed seedlings or wood debris material, things of that nature. And the reason why we're using this is because we're primarily founded on red sand here in El Paso. And so when we do the initial sod installation, we're always amending the soil with screen compost in the first place. But the initial lawn leveling job that I do recommend you guys do, whether you're doing a clay soil or a sandy soil like we have here, is go ahead and do your first one with a screen compost, okay? That way you get a good organic layer of material on top of, in our case, a sandy soil system, and it's going to be able to provide additional water and nutrient holding capacity. So we're just gonna dump out a whole bunch of this piles. This is an option where you make a bunch of piles like you see in some of my sod videos, or another option is you can take your shovel and kind of fan spread it out if you'd like, okay? We got real small backyards. These are cookie cutter lawns, 1,000 square feet. So we're gonna go ahead and dump that. Show you the process of leveling. We're also going to go ahead and roll it, give it that little smoothed out surface, and that way we can see any indentations, high spots, low spots, re-level those. Obviously we're going to be using our lawn leveling rake today, and the additional step that we always like to take when we're doing our leveling jobs, and this is something that I highly recommend you guys do too, is aerate. You can aerate your lawn, okay? Now is an opportunity to aerate your lawns as well. So if you haven't done that and you haven't done the lawn leveling job, now's a really good time to go ahead and get those applications or those the product down into the soil at the beginning of the spring. As soon as you start to see the green transition from brown to green, okay? The green haze is what we like to call it. Now's a good time to do those. You can do them in cohesion, aeration, and leveling at the same time. Our client today, they've already fertilized, so if you have not fertilized, you can also combine the fertilizer application with your aeration and your lawn leveling jobs. That's if you haven't fertilized. Now they have, so we're not going to be putting down fertilizer today. The reason you want to fertilize is to help push that turf through your leveling agent, okay? Whatever medium you're going to be using to do that, whether it be sand or, in our case, screen compost. But outside of that, let's get to it. You can drop down your piles. That's option A as far as getting your dirt distributed. The other option, and this is actually a technique that we see our Australians doing all the time, they like to get out there and get a good workout in. You can distribute it without dropping your piles. on that side and get the same view. So that is definitely another option to do it. Man, this dog. As you guys can see, it goes, you know, it really disperses that dirt as opposed to your piles back over there. You could use either option. I'll tell you that second option, you get a good workout in, and you got to put some oomph in it, you know, really get that body twisted. It really helps out. Get a little ab workout in if you need it, but either option works. Just really depends on your personal preference. I encourage you to try both, because one, it's already spread out as opposed to the piles. We got to go and rake out each pile and start leveling it. All right, guys, next phase. After you got all your piles of compost or screen compost or sand laid out, you're gonna do what Nick's doing over here. Trusty employee Nick there. You're gonna start spreading that dirt out. So what we like to do, and you can use a broom, you can use a rake, you use whatever tool you got, by all means. Don't go have to get a new tool just to do this. But what we like to do is go in a circular motion around each pile and go ahead and fan that dirt pile out in a 360-degree pattern. You're gonna do that for each one of these until you've got all your dirt spread out and covered the lawn. Okay, so the other option, if you have a broom or a rake, is you can go ahead and circle every pattern like that. The other option, if you've got a leveling rake or a landscape rake, you can do the same thing. Prop it right in the middle and just do your rotation. Go ahead and start spreading that dirt out. You can do the same exact thing. Stop. All right, guys, so this is simply leveling. This is a very easy task. If our 18-year-old here can do it, anybody can do it. Not to knock on age, I'm just saying. Everybody's got opportunity to learn and do something as easy as leveling. What we're doing now, after you saw us rake or level the entire property in kind of like a circular pattern, is we're just going back from the start of the patio and we're grading or leveling away from the property, okay? As you guys can see, and hopefully you caught that earlier when passing by my trusty cameraman earlier, as you can see how this leveling rake, as it levels everything out, it will grab some of that dirt and pull it whichever direction you're going, okay? And the reason it's doing that is because it's finding all the high spots of dirt and smoothing it out, and it will drop down to where the low spots are, okay? That's the idea behind leveling, is you're finding your high spots and your low spots and you're filling in those lower areas, okay? And you just go back and forth. Now I like to do multiple directions. I'll go north, south, and then I'll go east, west, and then I'll do a 45 pass as well, just to make sure we fill in any low spots as much as possible. All right, so we've talked about the when to do it, which is early springtime, okay? As soon as you start to see that green haze, that's the when. We've talked about what you can apply during a leveling job. You can aerate, you can fertilize and level. We've talked about the different types of mediums that you can use. We like to use, screen compost if you got it available. We also like to use a 50-50 ratio of screen compost and golf course sand if you got it available. And there's other times where we like to just use sand. So that's the how, that's the when, that's the material to use. Now let's talk about the process of this. So what you'll see, in addition to utilizing this leveling rake, the idea is you want to get the turf worked into, the soil worked down into the turf. So what you'll see is a lot of the green grass sprigs right here, they're already emerged through the soil, and all throughout here you can see some of the sprigs, right? So what we're doing is we're working that soil down through the turf. So we're working that material down through the turf, okay? You do want, if you can, you do ideally want some of the green grass sprigs to be emerged through the sand or screen compost. You still want this grass to photosynthesize, and the only way it's going to do that is if those little green sprigs are sprouting through the soil layer and still getting some of that good old ball of goodness, that sunlight. You don't have to have it that way, okay? If you've got some really deep indentations, that's what we're going to talk about next. But if you got some really deep indentations, you're going to have to cover it with a lot of dirt, and so it may take some time, and you're not going to have that grass growing through 3-inch holes. You know what I mean? All right, the last thing I want to talk to you guys real quick is about application rates, okay? Simply, as you guys saw, we used the liquid aerate today. I believe that's 6 ounces to the 1,000 square feet. If you're using a mechanical aeration, obviously there is no application rate, but I would go north, south, east, west if you're doing a mechanical core aerating. That way you get some good holes throughout the entire yard area. And the application rates for your fertilizer, that's in accordance with whatever fertilizer you guys are using. Keep it either, I'd probably go 3/4 range, 3/4 pounds per 1,000 square feet for the application of fert. And then the application rate for your top dressing or your screen compost, not top dressing, your leveling medium, whether you're using screen compost or sand. Some companies will measure it by the yard, other companies measure it by the ton. The rule of thumb that we use is for every 1,000 square feet, okay, we're going to keep the leveling at 1/4 of an inch to no more than 1/2 an inch of sand or soil for each leveling job. Let me repeat that. No more, you're gonna go 1/4 of an inch to no more than 1/2 an inch per leveling job. If you have to backfill and level deep indentations or huge ruts or potholes, obviously you're going to be using more than that rule. You're going to break that 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch rule. Nick, do the same thing but going this way. You're going to break that rule because you have to. The dog's digging in the yard and you've got these big old holes you got to fill. Obviously you're going to break that rule of thumb. But when it comes to leveling, what we like to recommend is keep it at the 1/4, 1/2 inch. I said it for the 3rd time so it seeks in. And the application rate is for every yard of compost, we'll backfill 1/4 inch for 500 square feet. One more time. For every 1/4 inch of material or height you want to level, you need 1 yard for every 500 square feet. That's the rule of thumb. That's what we like to keep it at. When you do that and practice it every season, your soil line does increase, right? But you're not completely coating it to the point where you don't have any grass blades emerge through the soil to continue to photosynthesize. Now, not all the lawn has come out of dormancy, so we're not going to see a lot of green grass everywhere. But what you can do is take a push broom, if you have tall enough grass, and work that sand or that soil down through the turf. In this case, what we're doing is we're simply going back and forth leveling, working that soil line out, and as we do that, this grass emerges through. All right, guys, that's it for today. Nice, simple lawn leveling task. As you guys can see, we've got some green grass already. Well, it's not already, but we pushed that soil through the turf over there, and it's a lot more level than what it was. What we didn't show you is we actually rolled it. I used a sod roller, and I go ahead and fill that all the way up. So we got a full 200 plus pounds of weight, and we're just pressing down that soil. Not trying to create compaction, but it just really helps get it to the point where we can see any more high spots or low spots. I have an additional wheelbarrow that I save so that if we do find any drastic depths, we can backfill with a little bit more soil. That's all I got for you. It's very simple lawn leveling job. Remember, you can combine your lawn leveling task with a lawn scalping, an aeration, a fertilization, a grub control. You can do it all in the same day if you wanted. Today we simply aerated because the gentleman had already fertilized, and we backfilled with our screen compost. And outside of that, any of the tools that you guys saw us using today, I'll leave some links in the description if you need to get a hold of some. Outside of that, if you have any questions, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Check you later.